are live again. Welcome back to SpaceLink TV. Today we're talking about the connection between Mars, the picture you're looking at here, and one of the pyramids at Saqqara in Egypt that me and Dolly Indigo Star went to see. That was amazing because there are so many similarities between those two sites, and I can't wait to start sharing. But first of all, I've got to find my live stream here on my phone so I can follow the comments. And please feel free to comment. Oh, and I've got to turn the sound off also. That was the... Sorry about that. But yeah, on Mars, on this gigapan. This is an amazing gigapan showing what I have been saying in the last 3 live stream, what to me looks like the top of a step pyramid. And I do believe there's much more to it than the eye can see here. And what we are looking at today is similarities at Saqqara pyramid, the complex down there. And I guarantee you will be amazed. But let's have a look at this gigapan first here, because some of the things we're going to have a look at, and why I say there's similarities, is because I have spoken about all these mounds on Mars, not all of them, but many of them being actually compounds, constructions covered in rocks and stones, and they have been there for thousands and thousands of years. Here I go. Finally, I got my live stream up here so I can follow the comment box. So look here where my arrow is. You see all these straight lines? These are building blocks. This is the compound itself, the construction itself, the inside of the outside, if you can say it so, the inner walls. And you can see it many places around on this gigapan. I can take you a little bit around here and show you a little bit of the area. We have areas again down here that shows us exactly the same. We have these blocks stapled on top of each other. They don't necessarily all look square, but you can see they are placed almost say by hand or by not by nature, if you can say so. And that is some of the things we're going to look into today. Let me see if I can get my chat up here. My phone is tricking me today, because I would love to chat with you guys out there. Here we go. Hello there. Hello, Light. Hope you are well. Welcome to SpaceLink TV. We are looking at Mars today. These blocks here, this is what I call the inner wall. The inner wall of it, completely covered. Let me take you to Saqqara in Egypt and show you a picture there. Here we go. Have a look at this, guys. This is amazing. We took that picture from Saqqara, from one of the pyramid on the backside, and you can see exactly the same here. You see the rocks piled on top of each other, creating a wall, a construction, something inside of there. Let me go back to Mars again. And have a look at this one again here. You see the same features, so many places on the pyramid. Let's go back up here again, because this is probably where it's the most visible. You can see the inner layer. Here's the thing, because there are many gigapans from Mars, and I would love to dive into all of them, but unfortunately we ain't got time for that. So I have prepared another gigapan that I also used the other day, where I talked about constructions on Mars and being covered up as mounds. They are actually constructions that are thousands of years old and look exactly similar as to what we are seeing in Saqqara. Let me take you to another gigapan, 1438 from Curiosity rover. And again, I speak about blocks being stacked on top of each other. Some of them looks like is one rock broken, but some of them definitely don't look like it. And this is amazing, guys, because I think this is our evidence of constructions on Mars. Look at this rock here in the foreground also. Definitely looks like part of something constructed that's broken off. And here I spoke about the other day, the outer layer. This is what I call the plaster. And I've said that in the last 3 live streams. Go down to any pond store that sells equipment for turtle ponds and fishing ponds. You can find artificial rocks in there that's actually foam sprayed with something that have that feels and looks like rock, but it ain't rock. What I'm saying is, if you put them artificial rocks out in the nature, you wouldn't have a chance of seeing or knowing that it's an artificial rock until you actually take it up and lift it and say, hey, this one is, there's no weight to it. What's the matter here? And this is what I'm saying here. This is just a larger scale. Everything underneath has been covered up, just like the pyramids in Saqqara. And I'm going to take you back to the pyramids in Saqqara now again, because I have a few pictures where it's where you can see how it's built up. We'll start with this one. We know that these pyramids had a smooth surface that created the pyramid itself. That smooth surface, or the white, the color is gone. There's nothing left. There is a few places around in Saqqara where you can still see part of the outside of this pyramid. I'm trying to find the correct picture here. Here's a good one explaining what I'm saying, where you can actually see the outside of it still standing. And when you look at the inside, you see exactly the same I showed you before on Mars, which tells us that what we see on Mars is this part of what once was part of a whole pyramid. We are seeing the inner part of the pyramid. The whole outer layer is completely gone. We see the plaster that's left inside that was underneath the smooth surface rocks on top. I'm like, how can people not see that when we're looking at Mars picture? Let me take some more Saqqara pictures up here, because we've got a lot of good pictures going. Here's another good one from the same pyramid, where you see the outside is still standing. And this is where I say we still have part of that left on Earth, but what is on Mars is way older than what we have on Earth. So imagine coming back to Saqqara in 4,000 or 5,000 years. Do you think those rocks on the outside still would be standing? I think not. But it's becoming even more interesting, because if we go back to the Mars pictures, let's go back to the Mars picture and get the right gigapan up again. We are here on Perseverance Curiosity rover, looking at this complex. From the side of this pyramid to the other side of is about 35 to 40 meters. So that gives us basically the same size as the pyramid I just showed you in Saqqara. Exactly the same size. Only thing is, I think we are only seeing the top half of the pyramid, so this could be even twice as big on the next few layers underneath the ground. I think this is an amazing pyramid, and I see the connection between Egypt, Saqqara, and the things we are seeing on Mars. So what are you guys saying out there? Please feel free to comment in the comment box on YouTube. We are live, and I would love to talk to you guys out there and hear what you're thinking. And back again to the picture here. We got so many interesting things going on. That tells me that there's more to it than the eye can see when you look at it in full scale. You have something that looks like hollow, can I say, bark from a tree. There's something down here that looks like a pipe or a tube in different colors than the surroundings. Why is that, and what is it we're looking at? I'm gonna take a little bit around here because we're gonna go back to Saqqara in just a few seconds, and I'm gonna show you a video of Saqqara that me and my wife took when we went there last time, so you can see in real lifetime that we have something exactly the same as Saqqara. And I want you to notice this dome-shaped object, because when we're looking at the video, I am going to stop the video at one time and look and show you that there is a similar feature on the pyramid in Saqqara. But let's just have a little look around here and just try to understand the size of it. So if this one is about 35 to 40 meters wide, it will probably be about 15 meters tall. So imagine the space inside. When I'm taking you to the video, we also go inside the pyramid. We are showing you the outside of, so you can get a feeling of what I think we are looking at here. Because this pyramid, step pyramid here that we see on Mars, is to me similar 100% to the pyramids we see in Saqqara. And again, notice what looks like a square entrance in up here, a square hole in. We're gonna show you that in the video as well. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Because this should be groundbreaking history, talking about life on another planet, what kind of evidence we have for it. Look at this. I showed you before, and I'll have to show you again before we start the video itself. The building blocks on the inside of the pyramid. These are normally covered in larger rocks, and over the larger rocks are smaller rocks that are then covered with the outside rocks of the pyramid with the smooth surface on, and the whole outside is completely gone here. There's nothing left of it. We are seeing the two inner layer of the pyramid here, and you can just see the inner layer clearly here all the way through, and this is what it looks like. So let me take you to the video I have from Saqqara. I've been looking so much forward to show you guys this. We have Saqqara video here, and it should start when I click on this one. And I am gonna turn the microphone off. No, not the microphone, the media source off here. That was Dolly, my wife, you saw there. And look, we are looking at exactly the same as I just showed you in this gigapan. The only difference is that what we're looking at on Mars is minimum 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years older than what we're looking at here. You can see the surface layer, the outer layer, in the bottom on the side here. And I do apologize for it's a little bit shaking, but it's better to have one long video and never stop recording than having 16 to get hold on. Look at the layers here. Look at it, guys. We are looking at exactly the same as we saw in the gigapan. And we are going to go around and go inside the pyramid, and this is what fascinates me, because if we can do that here on Earth and find similar on Mars, I bet you there is more to it on Mars than we can see and we know of. And you can see the famous Saqqara pyramid in the background. We did also go into that one, but that's a story for another video. But we are looking at the similarities between Mars and between this pyramid complex in Egypt that we visited here in 2022. It's about 6 to 7 minute long video. I'm gonna play it all. But look again, there is absolutely no difference from what we are seeing on Mars on the Curiosity rover images, except on Mars we call it a mount. On Earth we call it a pyramid. So here we are coming to the entrance. And remember what I said about the entrance, all these small entrance holes or doorways you have seen on Mars, the famous doorways that were found a few weeks ago was measured to be between 46 and 50 centimeters tall. And it ain't much, and people saying it's not real because it's so small, nobody would be able to use it. But who says that the size that is up there is the size similar to what we have on Earth, or to a human species? Now, please have a look at my wife as we are entering the pyramid here, because she is 158 centimeters tall, and she have to bend to get down there. So this is actually a tiny doorway, and it gets even smaller other places inside the pyramid. So just imagine, guys, what we're looking at on Mars if we could do the same as we just did here. Go around the opposite way, see if there is an entrance way in, or if there is an opening to go in. I think, guys, that this is what we are looking at here. And what I said before about the size, look at how my wife have to keep her head down just even to get through there. That tells me that the possibility of these doorways that we see on Mars that aren't very big are actually real, because we have exactly the same here in Saqqara when we go inside the step pyramid. And on YouTube comments here, we have a question. Are there any aerial views of the same area that show the full pyramid shape? Yeah, there have to be on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter image catalog. The question is what ID number it have. If we can find the ID number, we can find the satellite image of the area that Curiosity is in right now. Actually, that's a good question. And I do apologize for it's being a little bit black on the video, but it's pitch dark in the pyramid some places, as you can see. So we brought our torch with us to get some light so we could see where we're heading. But I am gonna leave the video playing here, because this is what I believe we are looking at. We are looking at a giant construction on Mars, 35 to 40 meters wide on the visible part above ground. And I do believe we are looking at something that is similar to what we have in Saqqara. And I do believe if we could go inside, this would be the same we would find up there. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that we are looking at the same? Are we looking at a step pyramid on Mars that's similar to Saqqara? I believe so, but I would love to hear what you guys out there think. So we are still live. So please feel free to comment in the comment box and share the video. For you that just arrived, we are underneath a pyramid in Saqqara that looks similar to what we are looking at on the gigapans from Mars Curiosity rover, some of the latest gigapans. And I know that the Mars rover Curiosity is going to go around that mount within the next few days or week. So I can't wait to see what's on the other side, because I believe what is inside that mount is the same as we see here. And why do I believe that? As I said before, when we look at the outside of the mount, you can see the constructions, you can see the inner parts, the inner walls are still standing, all the outside is gone. These constructions has been standing there on Mars for 4,000, 5,000 years longer than our pyramids have existed on Earth. So yes, the erosion on it and the damage caused by weather conditions would make their pyramid complexes look exactly as like what we're looking at on the Curiosity rover images. And the video from Saqqara is ending here, but I want to take you back one more time before we go back to Mars, just to have a look at the surface again. Look carefully, look well, look deep, because this is exactly what we are looking at on Mars, and you can't tell the difference. So the connection between Saqqara and Mars to me is clear. It's there. It's definitely there. So let's take it back to the gigapan here. Here was the inner walls we just saw on the video from Saqqara, and the pyramid itself. There's a lot of anomalies on it. I have left the link to this gigapan on my Facebook profile, Thomas Mikey Sprøtter Jensen, where you can find this video also when we are ended. And I think you should have a look, because I have posted a lot of interesting pictures from Mars, and especially from this area with this pyramid here. But I have a few other interesting pictures as well, because I have been switching between 2 gigapans the last few days, and I can feel deep within myself that I'm not done yet. There's much more to it. And again, just to those that just arrived on YouTube here, what we're talking about today is the similarities between the mounds or constructions on Mars, as I call them, and the complex in Saqqara in Egypt, where you can see part of the inner construction, and you can even see the outer layer here is still intact. All that's missing is the smooth surface. And these constructions or mounds here are built exactly the same way as the pyramids in Saqqara, except there are not pyramids. These are compounds, they are constructions, they are facilities. They could be everything from a living complex to yeah, whatever, tool house. There could be anything. If there was a civilization, they would probably have houses and constructions not made like ours, but like we have a swimming pool in one construction, we have a sports hall elsewhere. We live in compounds, and there is places to go and get what we need. We call it shopping, but there will be places for that also. And what I'm saying is this is built exactly like we see the constructions on Saqqara has been built, step by step. So I think this is amazing. This is truly, truly amazing. I want to click on these gigapans snapshots I did here, because we got something going here that's very, very interesting. I've been talking about the surface of these mounds being sprayed rock, like artificial rock when you buy them in a pawn equipment store. Pond equipment store. Sorry about that. And you can spray whatever and make it look like a rock, create a structure or surface on it that looks like a rock and feels like a rock, but it ain't a rock. And this is what I'm talking about here, because notice again, you have a completely square block here, and you see the outside is still standing. Where's the inside? I tell you where it is. There is no inside, because this is a construction. The same material they used to spray the surface of the bigger compounds with could be used to build smaller compounds with, also without having the big rocks to create the big construction. But smaller constructions like this, they could use the concrete powder they used to create the surface with also. This is why there's nothing inside here. This probably was a little construction, and you can see the rest of the wall is still here. And I think it was kind of like, as what it looks like here, a little bit like a dome-shaped top on it also. But the square frame is so clear, and you can see it on both sides of it. And again, I talked about outer layer. You can still see like the second outer layer here. It's an amazing picture we are looking at here. So the connection between Saqqara and Mars to me is clear. Let me know, guys. We are still live here, so if you want to join in and participate on the chat, please feel free. You have a strange little hole up here, but one of the most important things on this gigapan, I'll take you to it in a second, is the nuts and bolts. Here's another odd anomaly here. seems round, lying on the top. It doesn't really fit in. Just gonna take these snapshots one by one. And here was another one we looked at yesterday that looks like it's small tubes. Like it doesn't look like a rock. There's some odd stuff on here that is not really looking like it should be there. Here's another funny one, and I spoke about that one yesterday also. You can see like it's hollow inside. How do we create hollow rocks? This is what I'm saying. I don't think we're looking at rocks. I think we're being deceived. This is not rocks. This is the material they use on the outside of their construction. That is a strong material that also can be used to create objects with, just like we have clay, for example. You can create a vase, or we have plastic. You can create a table or a chair. This is what I'm saying. We got some kind of compound going here that can be used for more than one thing. That is a really, really strong compound that can be used to shape objects with as well, and be used as plaster on the outside of the wall, and it looks like rocks. Here's another good one. Definitely not a rock. It's like it's got like I don't know how to say it, a rail, like it's definitely not a rock. This has structure to it. It has this long top up here, and it looks like it has supporting structure underneath to keep it in place. So these pictures are amazing. I love the next one coming up here. This cone-shaped object lying there, and it's no longer than 5, 6, 7 centimeters long. But don't get deceived. This is not rocks. These are a part of what once there that is spread all over. You can see, just like on Saqqara pyramids that we looked at before, how it's all spread it all over. Everywhere we are looking at the similar things here, guys. So I'm gonna take you to the nuts and bolts, and I know the nuts and bolts that we are looking for here, that I call the groundbreaking evidence. I call it the smoking gun. And we are over here somewhere. Here we are. More evidence of life on Mars. Let me just close this one. Here is a little bolt. You can clearly see it's a bolt. Here's a piece of something that has profiles on it. It's definitely artificially constructed. Just like I said, we have some kind of compound here. You can shape and form as you will, and it will look like rocks, but it's not rocks. Unless NASA has tempered with the colors, and it's NASA who has rockified it. I don't believe they can do it with it all. I think that they kind of well lucky that this is the compound, the thing they have used. Imagine if you have, and I'm talking ancient history here, enemies that could come from above. You would put camouflage nets over your house if you lived in the forest. If you live in the desert, you would put rocks on top, or make a mount or something to whatever you could use, make it so your house wouldn't be visible, obviously visible from the air. This is what we're looking at here. These are the same compounds. These are look at this one here in the middle. It does look like a rock. If I saw that, I would say it's a rock, until I saw that it got a 90-degree angle on it. It's even got a frame around it on the side, still a frame around it, and it's square, and it's got this structure. And this is what made me think of those artificial rocks we could buy in the pond store. Just simply just spray the surface with it. Easy peasy. It looks like sand. It feels like it looks like a rock, and it feels like a sandy rock. What more do you need? Here we got it. Life on Mars. Run away from a bowl. You can't say that's not a bowl, or it doesn't look like a bowl. You can't say that this is a natural creation that's got a 90-degree angle on it, and it even got a side on here also, completely smooth side. Guys, I don't think we need much more evidence. We just need people to see what we already got. So how can we do that? Please go in and share the videos, or personally, I have a lot of posts on my profile on Facebook, Thomas Markeskole Jensen, where you can find them all on and share them. Also, these videos, we need to show the public what we got. Look at all this stuff here. I'm gonna take you back from this gigafan here, and I'm gonna take you back to Saqqara. Saqqara, sorry, I'm gonna take you back to an old one, and I'm gonna bring this one up again because I said earlier that we had some pictures from Egypt also of a dome just like the dome on Mars. This is the famous dome. I call it David Gannis domes or DG's dome because he found it back in 2015. That was one of the greatest things we as anomaly hunters have seen in our history, time of history. I remember seeing it and thought, wow, and I made a version of it also. Me and David went to talk about it on Mars. Not on Mars. We went talked about it on a Mars conference in Alabama together. That was a great time. Look at it. To me, it definitely looked like you got a dome up there at the top of the dome. So when I came to Egypt, we were driving on a road. There was nowhere we could stop. We were out in the middle of the desert. There were a few trees here and there and some power lines, but there were nowhere we could stop, and we were told not to stop anywhere for safety reasons. So we followed the guidance we had, but we managed to come back again and actually stop the car and take this picture of that dome you're looking at here on Mars. Now compare that to the one that we just saw on Mars, because this is taken from basically the same distance. This dome we're looking at here is about 250 meters away. The dome on Mars I would estimate to be about 100 to 150 meters away. I could be wrong, but the dome is in Egypt is taken with a Nikon Coolpixel P500 camera. The picture we are looking at now. Let me get the Mars picture up again here. I'm going to switch a little bit between them two. Here we have the Mars picture again. Now look at the one from Egypt. You see exactly the same structure on the dome itself. Here we have the Mars picture again. And here we have the picture from Egypt. There can be no doubt there are so many similarities from the pictures we have from Curiosity rover and Perseverance rover on Mars to what we see in the Egyptian region of Africa and many places also. But I've been to Egypt, so this is where my focus is. I'm sure we have the same places like this in Jordan, Israel, Iran, Iraq, and all the way through. But I've been to Egypt, so this is where my eyes have been, and this is what I'm showing you here now, that we have these similarities that are so obviously clear. Let me take the Mars picture up again. That these are the similar things we're looking at. I don't think this is a UFO. I think this is an actual construction. It's standing on a flat plateau on top, but the hillside is a tiny little bit higher than the plateau, so you don't see the full construction. You only see the top of it. I think this is amazing. Here we have the Egypt picture again. I can't help it. I have to switch between them two constantly because they are my favorites pictures from Mars and Egypt. But to me, there can be no doubt, absolutely no doubt, we are looking at a dome-shaped object on Mars. If it looks like a duck, and it sounds like a duck, it's probably because it is a duck. So I adopted those terms and said if it looks like a dome, it's probably because it is a dome. Here we have the dome from Egypt. From the Edfu, we were on our way to see a temple of Horus in Edfu. And that was and that's a whole other story, but we'll get to that another time, because there's also things that are related to Mars in there that we found a very interesting um, inscription on the walls that showed basically like we have military grades and honor medals and space command, and showing what rank they were. We found exactly the same, just related to space. That's stuff for another video, and we need to work a little bit more of that. But I'm glad to have you here, guys. There's a question here on YouTube. Can you imagine being in charge of the rover and not going over for a closer look? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I can imagine that. And that would be a nightmare, but it would be like a love and hate relationship, because you are on Mars, you can actually control the rover. You just can't go where you want to go. So that's a love and hate relationship. I can very well imagine that. Let me take you back to Curiosity rover here again, and the top of the pyramid we looked at before, because there's more to this site here as than we have seen already. And I have to add, the dome, of course, was an opportunity image, um, and that was not from Curiosity. That was an older one. So here's one of them interesting gigapans, because I still haven't have time to completely go through it all. So there's a lot of stuff that I would like to dive into here. Um, Here it was. I've seen stuff like this before, where you can see like this rock here underneath is split here. It's not a part of what's above. It's added. What's going on with this? You see the same here. This one is cut, definitely cut here. It could be cracked, but I'm gonna show you a picture again from Saqqara. Let me see. One here. Oh, hang on a second. It seems like I lost connection, so please give me a second to catch up here. Here we go. We didn't lose connection. We are still here. Look at this rock here, how it's cut. It's clear to see that this one is placed in here afterwards. It doesn't really fit in. It's the same material, probably from the same rock, another place, but it's definitely added afterward. It's definitely blocking something out. Let me go back to the gigapan again that I was on before. And this is what I mean. There are areas when you can see it looks like it's been added like later to it. There are many of these areas that deserve a lot more attention. For example, there's a pile of rocks in a straight row right there, same size. That could be a coincidence, but it definitely catching my eyes. But this is what I'm trying to say, that I believe that most of all these mounds are artificial constructions that are the same constructions as we see in Saqqara, only thousands and thousands of years older. Here's an interesting area. As I said before, like all these rock that seems some places to be added later. And this actually looks like there is a face on this rock if you look closer to it. I'm not saying it is, but the eyes sometimes deceive you, but it does definitely look strange, because it looks like these rocks are made to fit into each other, just like we see it on Pumapunku. Here's another interesting thing that just caught my eye. I haven't been looking here yet, but again, if you ever have been at Saqqara, you will see some of them entrances are underneath ground level. You actually walk down and into the ground. So I'm not surprised that we can find something that looks like doorways, but you can just see the one corner of it still buried in everything that has been on top of here. It's all lying down here. But again, yeah, I want to take you back to Saqqara one more time before we ending our live stream today. And I want to go through some of the pictures again. But I want to share the video one more time, just the beginning of it, because I find this so amazing that we can still be able to go to a place on Earth and find something that's exactly similar as to what we're seeing on Mars. Here we are at Saqqara. That's the pyramid. We went into the pyramid underneath it. It's big, it's huge underneath. It's not a tiny little pyramid, this one here. And this is what I'm saying about Mars. If we have this on Earth and you have exactly the same on Mars, why shouldn't there be something inside of what we're seeing us on Mars? We only have the rovers up there. We can only look at the outside, and look how you still see parts of the smooth top surface on the outside, and underneath you have all the crumbled rocks that looks just like what we're seeing on Mars. This is where we sometimes see a few of these blocks laying around. You can see there's perfectly squared cut. This is what we see on Mars also. We found them everywhere now. We have found hundreds and hundreds of those square cut rocks that you see on this pyramid on Mars. And as I said before, when you are in a place that is 4, 5, 6,000 years older than the pyramids in Egypt, you can only expect to see something that is far worse condition than what we see here. This is actually a good condition. We are still able to see part of this original surface, though without the shiny layer on it, but the smooth surface we can see part of. I do apologize for being a shaky video. It was what we call a holiday video, but it's definitely worth having a look at. This is what we see in Saqqara. This is what we see on Mars. There's no difference except the age of it. I'm gonna show you this picture here again. This is part of the outer wall of that pyramid we went into. And on the left side, you can see the inner wall. That was the inner wall I showed you on the gigapans that you can find everywhere you look if you look close. I'll leave the link to it, and I'll leave you some snapshot links to it so you can find it in there. The inside of it is clear, and you can see here also on the left side that on top of it all the crumbled rocks, all that has been standing there for thousands and thousands of years, only have one way to go, and that's follow gravity, and that's down. So you can't even see what's on top, but I tell you there's something more on top, and it's not just the bottom that is where there's an entrance that goes down. There's also rooms on top in here. So we are looking at exactly the same as we see in Saqqara. Let me see. Click. I'm gonna show it you from another angle. Here you can see it from another angle, and you can see how crumbled it is. Here you got the Mars version. Here you got the Earth version, where the outside is still standing. On the right side, you see far side. You see what I call the Mars version. The left side, you see the rock still standing. That's the Earth version. So guys, what do you think we're looking at on Mars? Here's another good picture from Saqqara, where you see exactly what I'm talking about. All them square blocks stacked on top of each other. They're not perfectly aligned, not even here on Saqqara, in Saqqara. Perfectly aligned, I mean, if you're a builder, you would know you take 50-50 on each block to overlap them well. That's not what you see here. They're just actually that they knew this wall would be covered up from the outside. They knew no one would never ever get to see this wall the many next thousands of years. So that's probably just a normal quick job they do before they do the surface. It's strong enough. It's covered in a surface that makes it almost nuclear proof. So this is what you're seeing on Mars, some places on the gigapans on the mountain. This is why I say I don't believe that all the mounds we're seeing on Mars are just rocks, mounds. It looks like rocks. And the difference from Earth and Mars is they have used some kind of plaster on Mars to spray over on the top, and that's what looks like weird stuff on the gigapan, where you can see kind of almost floating in the air with edgy, pointy edges on the outside. We don't see that here on the pyramids on Earth. And I think the reason for that was we didn't need at that time to disguise ourselves or make ourselves invisible from an enemy from above on Earth. And that's why I think the material used on Mars was different, because they completely cover it up so you wouldn't be able to find anything from above. Let me take another picture. And we have seen many places on the gigapan pictures also where you see sometimes things that look like symbols or writing. Take this picture we are looking at now. There are symbols and writings, hieroglyphs on it. We can see it clear. I'm standing in front of it, though on a distance, though, because it's big. I'm standing in front of it and with a Nikon 4K camera taking a picture of it in 4K quality. I can zoom in and see it clear. But when we're talking rover images taken from 150, 250, 300, 400 meters distance, still with the same kind of camera quality as I have used here, you of course can't get it clear as you can see it here. That's logic. But we do see from time to time something that looks like hieroglyph. If you were going to Facebook and find United Family of Anomaly Hunters, I'll bet you we have a page in there and we have a group. I bet you will find some of them posts that people have, our researchers have posted, that shows you hieroglyphs. And I've seen a few, I've found a few also. And this is what I'm saying. Saqqara here is 4,000 or 5,000 years younger than what we see on Mars. It's so old on Mars, so not even the surface would be like anywhere near what we see in Saqqara. Saqqara is a modern version of what we see on Mars that's still standing, and we can still find hieroglyphs here and there and part of the outer wall here and there, even though the shiny layer is missing. The only thing we haven't found yet was kind of like the shiny white layer, besides the little part on the Cheops pyramid. Let me find the next picture here. Here's another one. That was the area we were looking at before from another angle, where you can see the outer wall still standing. You can see the top of the pyramid. It's huge. You see the back behind the outstanding, the outer wall. You see how it's crumbled and all fall apart, and you see odd stuff like on the left. You look at on the left side, you see something that looks like a round object, and that's the same thing we are seeing on Mars on the gigapans. There is not really much different in it. Here we got another good one, and this is one of my favorite pictures, because this actually explains to you, and I'm sorry I can't have my mouse on this picture, to be honest, I don't know why. But if you look on the left side and you see the inner wall, that's the inner wall. Behind that inner wall is a room. On the other, on this side of the wall that points ahead us, where we are, it was filled up, as you can see, with smaller blocks. And on even there, you can see there is a little entrance. We went to that little entrance. It was blocked on the inside. It's basically in the middle of the picture. You see that dark area. We did go in, but it was blocked and you couldn't go any further. But you see the first layer from the inside are the, as you see to the left, are the bigger blocks tiled on top of each other. Then you have all the small blocks on the outside of that layer. These are the small blocks you see, not the smallest one, but the second smallest one you see in the middle of the screen on the left side of the entrance. Then you have the entrance, and on the between the entrance and the outer layer, you have even smaller blocks to fill in all the gaps. So you got at least 3.5 meters of stone material before you reach the outside of the pyramid. And this is what we're seeing on Mars. This is what we're seeing on Mars, because the first 2 meters on everything we see on Mars is gone. We only see sometimes the last 3 or 4 meters of it on the inside of what once was. And I'm just going to show you the other side. This is where the entrance was, and here you can see my wife in the picture on the bottom right. And again, this is exactly the same we are looking at on Mars. Let me take you back to the live stream. Here we got it again. This is exactly the same we're looking at. Let's have a look at all these blocks. Here you can see the inner layer, the absolute inner layer. You can see the blocks in it. It's clear to see. And as I said, there were bigger rocks, smaller rocks on the outside, covered up with bigger rock. The bigger rocks here you see is not from this layer, it's from on top of the outer layer. So all the small rocks you see, like these on top here, all these small rocks you see here, if you can follow my mouse, these are what would be on outside this layer. And again, outside that layer, there would be another layer of smaller rocks where that would be kept in with the big rock outside that creates the actual surface. And this is how you make a concrete, hard, nuclear-proof facility construction, basically, with rocks. You can see the inner layer here, and you can see the same further way down here. There are areas where you can see the inner layer so clear and so well. And yeah, and again here, it's so clear you can see the rocks, even though the picture is a bit blurry, the lines don't lie here. You can see all the strange lines, you can see all the square rocks. And as I said, they're not perfectly aligned, they are just a quick job, because this would be the inside of a wall that no one would never ever see. And you can see the outer layer on it is crumbled apart. All the big rocks is gone. It's probably fallen down here somewhere. If you look at this blob that looks here, imagine this part we're looking at here where my arrow is would be up here. So you can actually see how it's kind of fallen down. So I think everything we look at here is in the bottom was plastered up here. These are big blocks that is simply falling down because they've been standing there for 8, 9, 10, 12, 15,000 years. And only nature can create a rock that will last forever. Not even Martians can, but they can create something that will last 15,000 years. And you can still see that there is a wall here on the inside. And this is what I'm saying. All the outside, the first 2 meters of the outside layer is gone. And you can actually see it's lying here, crumbled. All these blocks here. There's only one place it could have come from. On top, it didn't come from over here, it didn't come from here. There's only one way it's going to fall. It's down. So this is definitely from part of the construction here. Again, I want to zoom in on all these building blocks. You can see again here in another layer, and you can see here, this is not one rock that's cracked and it fits. This is one rock underneath, and this rock is fitted into it. Here's a good example, because here's a square cut on this rock where you can actually see the square block, and it's not from this rock here. This block here is not from this rock. This is added, and you can even see it's longer than if it was from this rock here, unless they've carved it on the other side as well. But it's definitely made to fit in, and this is so clear to see in all these pictures. You can see it again here. Blocks, blocks, blocks still laying. And remember, it's a construction that's 10,000, 12,000, maybe 15,000 years old, and nobody have done anything to restore it for the last thousands and thousands of years. So this is what you're looking at. I'm talking about the building blocks again. You see it's so clear here, straight lines here, building block. This is the inner wall we are looking at the compound, at the complex. The inner wall, the first 2-3 meters are gone. You don't see the outside, you don't see the facade anymore. Those parts where you do see the facade, it's clear to see it's crumbling apart. Another interesting one, here we go again. There's 2 rocks, like it looks like one big rock, don't it? And then again, how is it possible to crack it like that? Because that looks like 2 rocks in there. It's amazing, guys. I can see there's activity on YouTube here. So Kev Andrews is saying most things are constructed with reinforced edge with rows of spheric links. The Anunnaki can manipulate rock strata as they like it to build with the landscape camouflage on the surface. This is exactly, you are so right. The Anunnaki had the technology. I choose not to mention the word Anunnaki today because I know my wife is working a lot about Anunnaki stuff. I'm going to make a combination between Mars and the Anunnaki and Egypt, and that will come out later. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, you are so right. The Anunnaki back then had technology that we only could dream of. Look at some of them sci-fi films, and I'll tell you what to look at in the sci-fi films. The technology they have there is still laughable, but to us, it's something we still only dream of. Other sides contain the same on Earth. This is exactly what I said. Peru, Bolivia, Mexico, Teotihuacan, all them places. Machu Picchu have the same as we see on Mars, and you can see rocks that are shaped to fit into other rocks. Please feel free to comment in the comment box here on YouTube, participate, and let's get it going because I love doing what we're doing here. We're looking at, yeah, I showed you this before here, all them square lines and blocks. It's because it's blocks stapled on top of blocks there. And I'm sorry I've got something blinking, but it doesn't matter because we are on Mars, and again, look at this, it looks more like a little ramp. But it definitely stands out from the rest of the area because of these sharp edges. It was something that was broke off something and created a sharp edge. Where is the rest gone? There is nothing there. So it tells me it's an object that's been shaped and put there. But again, this is very, very small. When we zoom in that close, we're talking less than a meter. And again, we are looking for building blocks. Here you see it again clearly, the building blocks, rocks that are shaped to fit into each other. You can see that even though that the gigapan here, which is a good big gigapan made by Neville Thompson, is a little bit blurry when you go too close. Here's a really good example. Let me get this up here. I know it's a bit blurry, but I'm going to do it anyway. Look at this rock here. It's got a 90-degree cut into it, and you can see it's rectangular shaped on the edge. Flat, smooth on the top. I'm sitting and looking on a 4K computer that shows in the highest resolution, so it's kind of amazing. And I do know that sometimes it can be hard to see the same on YouTube, but I will do my best to illustrate and show you what I'm looking at. But again, this is Mars. Here's another interesting feature. It's a little bit hard to see, but it's like there's a profile on the wall that you see here. A square profile on the wall in the background, and I don't think that's pixelation. You got one more 90-degree angle here that's kind of like out of place because I don't think that it's natural because it looks more like a tiny little doorway in. And I was talking about doorways also when I showed you the video from Saqqara where we actually went in, and you could see my wife has to bend her head down just even to go through the tunnel, and she is 158 tall, so she is a small little hot chick. Did I say yeah? Yeah, but yeah, that's the truth. Back to Mars. So when we see entrances, they that are 50 centimeters tall, like the one we saw a few weeks ago coming up, it's not necessarily small people. It could be built on the same concept as you see here in Saqqara, where some of the entrances were very small, and me and my wife did go into some smaller tombs also above ground and some underground, and they were all disconnected from each other. You had to go to them one by one, and there were tombs where you walked up the stairs and into a rock. There were tombs where you basically walked down the stairs into a hole that was been dug into the ground, and there was an entrance below ground that wasn't very tall, and there was entrances same sizes as the one we saw on Mars. That was about 46 to 50 centimeters tall. So what I'm saying is, I don't believe in small Martians like 2 millimeters, 3 centimeters. But I do believe that if we as a human species can have so many varieties in our DNA, we have different species. Here we have people that are 2.5 meters tall. They're giants. We don't see many of them, but they exist. But we also have people that are no less than 60 centimeters tall. We have dwarfs on planet Earth. We have big people. We have all kinds of humans here. All species in the DNA is represented on Earth. So no, it's not necessarily human size beings that is on Mars. That could be anything. Just look at the human species. If you go to Earth and meet an American, it doesn't mean that everybody on the Earth is Americans. It just mean that you have landed in America and talking to a lot of Americans. But you can't judge the rest of the place for where you land at. If you land a UFO in the White House, you'll probably be shot down. If you land a UFO in Nepal, you'll probably be welcomed with food and drink, and you have had a long travel coming and and relax. This is what I'm saying. We have all kinds of species we don't know much about. And so when you see the small entrances, 40, 50 centimeters tall, yeah, that is Martians. I don't believe in millimeter or centimeter Martians, but I believe that we have different sizes in body sizes as we have on Earth, where we have small people, we have dwarfs on Mars, on Earth, and we have huge giants. Take a big Russian soldier and put him next to a person that's born with a dwarf DNA in China, and you will find a very, very tall person against a very, very big person, and you wouldn't be able to see any relation between them two besides the human species. So this is what I'm saying. Nothing is impossible on Mars. Nothing is impossible. And I love looking at this area because it's got a lot of these small holes in it. And from here to about here is about a meter or half a meter. So again, this is small. This would be like 20 centimeter low high and 5 centimeters wide. This is really small. But again, we got all these small features in it. So could it be possible that NASA in reality is hiding the size of the original size of what we're looking at? That's also a possibility. But then again, the rover tracks, we know what size the rover wheels are, so we can compare it when we see tracks on the ground. That wouldn't match up anyway. So could it be that we ain't been told the truth about sizes on what we're looking at on Mars? There's definitely a possibility. So, but yeah, today we have been looking at the similarities between Mars and Saqqara in Egypt. I have another good one here. You see there's kind of like a square hole here, but it's like on a slant. And over here you have the same, there's a hole on a slant, but it looks like you've got a walkway in here. And this is also what I've been talking about, all these doorways that we see now suddenly appearing in the rover images. Is it the same as we see in Egypt? Because we went to Saqqara, we went around the whole complex. There were small, tiny doorways, and there were big, huge doorways. We went into the pyramid in Saqqara. There was a huge doorway. We went into the opposite side of the Saqqara pyramid, and there was a tiny doorway. My wife had to bend her head down just to get there, and she's very tiny. So yeah, I am open for all possibilities here. I do believe that we have a direct connection between Mars and Egypt and the things we see in Egypt. But again here, look at the top here. Have a good look here. I'm going to leave it on for a few seconds because I am going to go back to Saqqara again. Just have a good look. See all the rocks, how they are laying around, and it looks crumbled. If that was a big rock, where would all the crumpled stuff come from? Back to Saqqara. Get Saqqara up here. Here's the video again. So what I'm doing now is showing you a few seconds of this video, and I'm going to go back, switch to the gigapan for a second so you can see. Here we've got the gigapan. This is what we're looking at on the gigapan. Let's get Saqqara up again. Here is Saqqara, and here is the pyramid. That would be 4,000 or 5,000 years younger than what we see on Mars. So this is, compared to what we see on Mars, this is a modern construction. And if you go back to this picture here, you see the inner wall clear, and you see, as I showed you in the other picture, that there is about 3 to 4 meters of layer missing between the outer wall and the inner wall. So what we're looking at on Mars is the last layers that's crumbling apart. Let me get the other picture up here. Here's the same picture, just from another angle. We see the inner layer that you see to the left. We don't see the outer layer that you see to the right. It's completely gone. Now, once in a while, we find a smooth block with smooth edges, square edges. That could be what we're looking at on the right side. But the two layers in the middle, the smaller blocks, and all those small bricks behind the outer layer, that's what we are seeing laying all over the ground on the picture on Mars. And we are back to Saqqara, because this is where we're going to end the live stream today. It's been interesting. Thank you for the participation here on the comment box on YouTube. And as usual, I've just took the pictures off. I haven't prepared myself for this at all, because I thought, oh well, I'm just going to give it a go. So I hope you liked it, guys. The connection between Mars and Saqqara is obviously clear. You see exactly the same picture. So I think I'm gonna sit down and make a little video on the normal professional basis and edit it all together with all the pictures in, and do a good voiceover so we can do this presentation one more time and put the similarities between Mars and Egypt together in one big long video with all the pictures. Because the thing is, and you know, it sounds like I'm never going to end this live stream. I'm probably never is, but the thing is, we got 9,800 pictures from the 12 days we were in Egypt. We got 418 videos in 4K on our action cam and on our Nikon cam. So we got a lot of material to go through, and I want to show you all the best that we have, like we've seen today. This is part of it, part of the best stuff, where we can see the clear connection between what we see on Mars and when we see all them bricks that's put together, creating the inner wall. That's just now the second layer is gone here, and the third layer is gone, the fourth layer is gone. You're looking at the first very inner layer here, where everything on the outside is gone. You can still see the second layer here on this part. So it has been interesting, and we've seen it all over. We saw the bolt again on the other gigapan from Curiosity Road that shows us that in the area there is something, and it's not a natural creation. These are artificial created creations. I do believe that we are looking at much more than we are ever going to be told by NASA or our government agency that handles the information. thank you for watching, guys. This has been really fun today. I would really love to go back to, can I just go back? I can go back to Saqqara, because I also have, you know what, let's continue a little bit longer, guys, here, because I got so much more here. Are you up for it, guys? Give it a like or a comment if you're up for going on a little bit more here. Back to this one here, because this one is my favorite picture, because it shows the layer we're looking at on Mars. We are looking at our Saqqara pictures, but it shows us what we're looking at on Mars. What we need to do to this picture is remove the outer layer, remove all the small breaks, and just leave it in a big pile in the bottom, and we have the same as we see on the videos on Mars. Let's see here. Here it is from another angle here. And you can still see the inner wall, and you can see how everything else is crumpled apart. So this tells us these inner walls are the ground floor walls. They're still standing. Everything else on top is completely gone. So this is amazing pictures from Egypt, guys. And again, we had the Mars dome from the Opportunity rover, and we actually drove 45 miles extra just to get back and take the picture of the dome near Edfu in Egypt, like look exactly similar to the one on Mars. I think these are amazing pictures, and I do hope they will be shared worldwide, and people will compare them and say, hey, if that's the same we got on Mars, why haven't we been told about it? Because I believe that there are people out there that definitely know what's going on, and that definitely don't want us to know what's going on. But how long time can they keep doing that? Mars, Egypt, Mars, Egypt, Mars, and Egypt. And let me just take you back to my two favorite on this picture image from Curiosity Row before we end this live stream. This cone-shaped object. This cone-shaped object ain't natural. It's definitely not natural. You can see it has structures profile. It has 3 lines in a row perfectly spaced out. And it's cone-shaped, and it stands out so clear. Next to it, another object that stands out so clear. It's definitely some kind of rail on it here to either mount it somewhere, or is it what you use to enforce concrete with or plaster with? This is what I'm saying. They have been using plaster on the outside. This could be steel reinforcement or another compound just to keep the plaster in its place when it's poured over. And this could be what the outer layer of the plaster you're actually looking at. This could be mounted on the inside to keep the plaster in its place. So there's a lot of theories as to what all this stuff we're looking at is. And let me take you to the smoking gun one more time before we end this live stream. It's coming in slowly here in the picture. The bolt on Mars. The bolt on Mars. This is amazing. I've spent 4 live streams now showing this, and I'm going to keep on sharing it and showing it, because I think we are looking at obvious evidence of ancient construction. You see a square block here. It's not a block. If you look, you can see it's a panel. If you look on this panel, you can see it has a frame around it. Clearly a frame around it. On top of this frame is something sitting. That could be a rock in the background, and our eyes could have a hard time separating those things, but have a look at it, guys. There's definitely a frame around this square object here that has this structure on it, and this is where I'm talking about. You cover it with your rock structure so it looks like rocks when you look at it from above. It looks like rock, it feels like a rock, but it ain't a rock. It's another compound put together that looks like this one over here. And I could actually say that this object here don't look like it has been sprayed with the same compound in this object, but it looks like it's a similar object, but this one hasn't been covered in the same material as this one has. But you can definitely see there's a profile to it, and this profile is definitely artificially created. Nature would never ever create a structured profile like this, 90-degree angle, and it has one surface, a smooth surface, and you've got profiles to it. This is amazing, guys. You have something else over here that looks weird, because what looks like holes into the rock could be shadows. So if we look away from those holes and saying that's a hole in the rock or a hollow rock, we will still be looking at something that just suddenly have a rock part going out, flat rock part going out. This is like a panel size going out from here. This is not a rock. This is more like you see a bag lying on the side and you see the inside of the bag because the opening is pointing at us. You've got an object here next to it that looks like, if you look on the top, bended metal strip lying on top of it. This looks like a container on its side, like a little handheld container on its side, or whatever it could be. You've got this object here that's definitely not natural, with a frame around it still, and it's square. It could have broken up from somewhere, but it's definitely not natural. And you got the smoking gun, the absolute smoking gun on Mars. Here is the bolt that kept some of it together. And with this, I'm gonna end today and say it's been amazing, guys. I really gotta go now because I need to get something to eat. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on, but I have to go. Thank you for watching, guys. And just before I go, see, I'm addicted. Just before I go, I'm gonna do this one again here. While I say thank you, guys, for watching. It has been awesome today. There is definitely a connection between Mars, the ruins we see on Mars, and the way that the pyramids is constructed in Saqqara, as we are looking at here on this image. We are looking at ancient evidence of ancient civilization on Mars, and we got exactly the same compounds, constructions on Earth. You're looking at a pyramid at the Saqqara complex here. This one is 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years younger than what we're seeing on Mars. So this is a modern construction compared to what we're seeing on Mars. I don't know how to make it more clear that what we're looking at on Mars is just a covered over area with old compounds. NASA know it, they have known it all the time. So there are specific areas that definitely would avoid with the rovers, even though they might be looking interesting. So let me just take you up here. With Saqqara and Mars, I say remember to subscribe to SpaceLink Tv. Go to Facebook, and I got all my posts on my profile, Thomas Mikey Squirter Jensen, and I got it on our SpaceLink TV page also on Facebook. And we got the old Marsmoonspace group also on Facebook that you can go and visit. My wife, as you can see in the video, is on TikTok, Dolly Indigo Star 33 on TikTok. And she also got a YouTube channel of same name, Dolly Indigo Star Official, that you can go and visit her work. She also have a lot of Egypt stuff and a bit of Mars stuff up, and it's all very interesting. Look at what we're looking at here and imagine adding a little bit of reddish color to it, and you will see exactly the same as we see on Mars. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to click like, subscribe, and get notification for next time we are live, which should be about an hour every day, which we are trying to do. It's been 4 days now, so thank you. Keep sharing our videos, keep commenting on it, sharing on social media. Thank you for watching. Until we see you again, take care.